Oh. All right. Can you guys hear me? Is this working? Audio. Is the audio working? Am I live? It's loading. Okay, you can see me. Audio's good. I just don't want to get fully into it if something's not working. All right. Thank you very much, guys, for joining the live stream. Really appreciate it. This is for the people who are watching in the future, who are watching a recording of this live stream. This is just a bit of a Q&A session, so welcome to the video if you've come later on. But yeah, I spent the afternoon making this stream overlay. Hopefully it's entertaining. And as voted by everyone on Instagram, I'm wearing the onesie, which my wife has loaned to me, and it's actually a bit too warm in it. So, okay, stream is in 1080p, text is clear, but your video is pretty low res. Yeah, so I've got a really bad webcam, and I thought what I'd do instead was I'd use my my Insta360 camera. So I've like connected that to the computer, but actually it turns out that Insta360 cap it at 1080p, which is actually a shame because the camera can do like 8K. So it's like a software limitation. So I will fix it up for next time. But anyway, look, we've got the live chat. If people want to, I think there should be like, if you send like emojis or something in the chat, something's meant to happen. But yeah, just spam emojis. And I've never made like a stream overlay before, so we'll see how it goes. The format of this live stream is a bunch of people sent me in like questions and stuff. But what I'll probably do is I'll prioritize answering questions that are in the chat. And if there's any downtime between that, I will answer any of these questions that I got through Instagram, and there's so many of them, as you can see right here. Ta-da! I've got so many questions. I think there's probably like 50 questions there, plus ones that people ask me on YouTube. So all right, so we will get into it, but first let's have a little quick read of the chat. So I'm live. Yep. Roberto, good to see you. Eugene, good to see you. We've got a bunch of people here. Outspoken. Suzuki's here. Joel Baker. Thank you everyone much for joining. Appreciate you guys spamming the emojis in the chat. Tony says, Miller thinks I have a dog of a bike. He actually did retract that somewhat. I think he did end up liking the Gen 8, but yeah, anyway. Mic is a tiny bit hot, but that's okay. That's all right. I'll move it back a little bit. Maybe that's better. Matt Anderson has asked, will AliExpress carbon wheels make my parents proud of me? Yes, because you're saving money. And Sign Hero said, love your work, Josh, with a thumbs up. Thank you for that. So I think if you do like a thumbs up, it puts like an animation on the screen, like what Sign Hero just did. I wonder if I can I initiate that myself? All right. Okay, so what we're going to do is I'm going to start going through some of the questions that people sent me on Instagram. And what I've done is I've put them on Canva, and then so we can all go through them together. So there we go. How's that? All right. Well, we already answered that first one, so we're off to a good start. But the next question was, did you start running before cycling or vice versa? And how did you get so strong with running? So I did a little bit of cross country when I was in high school. But in high school, cross country is actually quite short distances, maybe about 4 to 5 kilometers. So I never really did anything longer than that. So I do have a little bit of a background in running, but I kind of just for a short period in high school. Cycling has been my main thing for the last few years. I actually found it quite easy to pick up running when I did about a year ago. My my wife wanted to do a half marathon, and we thought it'd be a good thing to do together. So I had sufficient motivation to train up with her. And yeah, I think running is a little bit easier to train for, because you can almost just it's something I find easy to just do by myself. Like, it's just easy to chuck a pair of shoes on, just go out the door. Yeah, so there's that. Was looking forward to the lederhosen. And DTS Kwan says, when will you do costume swap? Interesting. High school about 4 years ago. No, I had my 10-year reunion for high school a couple of years ago, so I'm 13 years out of high school. All right, next question from Bojati. You've been a great inspiration to me to go out, ride my bike. Thank you so much. Appreciate it, man. Thank you so much. Okay, UG guest, this is Owen. He said, ride constant uphill or constant headwind? And I'm going to say uphill for sure. Headwind is just miserable, but at least uphill, you know, I feel like there's going to be a downhill after that. Jody has asked, hey Josh, any peaks training tips? Love your videos. For peaks, it is similar to training for any super endurance event. I think there's just no shortcuts. You just have to do heaps and heaps of training. Ideally, you train to the conditions that you're going to be doing in the event. So in the case of peaks, you're just doing lots of hill reps. Yeah, I think there's no shortcuts. And Christian has asked, do you have plans to cycle overseas, and where would you go? I do have a bit of a plan right now to do some cycling in Korea next year with my wife. She hasn't done any training yet, so we need to start soon. All right, I'm just going to quickly look back at the chat. So Outspoken has asked, does videoing riding take away from cycling and the ride, or enhance it in making an otherwise fairly non-stop ride and venture and experience and force you to smell the roses? That's a great question. When I ride with a group, I try not to intrude on everyone's, I guess, experience of the ride. So I always just film any B-roll and stuff when the whole group stopped, or if we're at the cafe. And in that way, I do find it does kind of detract from the ride, because I'm trying to figure out how I'm going to make content around like a group ride. So I've found now that it's easier if I'm going to go out with the intention of making a video, I usually just go by myself with maybe a couple other people, and I'm very upfront about, okay, I'm out here to like make a video, and I'm going to be filming and stopping and starting a lot. So yeah. When triathlon? Ugh, I don't want to do a triathlon. My argument is I'd rather be good at one sport than average at three. So I don't know. Maybe a sprint. Who knows? I did do a lot of swimming growing up, so I wouldn't say I'm good at swimming, but like I'm pretty sure I could pick it up again quickly. Charles has asked, how to start YouTube? Any tips for someone who's starting out creating content? I'd say probably the most important thing about starting YouTube is just being consistent. There's definitely going to be periods of time where you make a video, it doesn't do too well, and that can be frustrating. But I think you just need to find the things that you enjoy making, and you just need to be consistent about uploading. Eventually you'll find your audience. Eventually the algorithm will figure out, you know, which people are interested in your content, and you just go from there. So definitely it's a bit of a grind. Like, you know, some people do get lucky and they make videos that instantly take off. But for me, you know, I think I was making videos for like a year before it got any traction, and I was just doing little silly videos around Olympic Park with my friends and stuff. But the thing is, I just had heaps of fun doing that, so it never felt like a chore. It never felt like a big effort. Yeah. Okay, Eugene has asked, how can I get better at hills without having to ride up hills? Good question. Well, the main difference between riding just on normal flat ground and riding up a hill is that you're forced to do more power. And if it's a steep hill, you won't be able to do the cadence that you'd ideally like. So for example, say you're going on flat ground, you could be spinning at maybe 90 or 100 cadence. But when you're going uphill, just due to limitation with your gearing, you might only be able to do 60 cadence. So I guess if you want to get better at hills, and without having to ride up them. Maybe try and do some low cadence riding, or just look at the weather app and find a headwind to ride into. Ian has asked, how do you keep ride fit when this Sydney weather's been so bad? I have seen a lot of people smashing it out on the indoor trainer. I think that's the best way to stay fit, indoor trainer. For me, I don't have an indoor trainer. That's by choice because I just don't like riding on indoor trainers. I've just been running instead, which has worked fine because I've got the marathon in like 10 days. So yeah, maybe just doing like another form of cardio fitness, like running. If you got a local pool's good as well, treadmill. But yeah, probably the indoor trainer is the best one. And if you're absolutely stuck for things to do, you can also just do some like little indoor workouts. I think the main thing is just keeping your body active. All right. Hello, Inlin Joe 13 and Gwats. Thank you very much, mate. Ocean Han has asked, are you going to join the MS Gong ride? I know quite a few people have asked me if I'm joining MS Gong, and there's actually a question in here about MS Gong. I haven't got a ticket yet. I did do MS Gong a couple of years ago. Actually, that was the second video I think on my channel was MS Gong. It is a really, really nice ride, and I probably should just go and do it. Probably a good one actually to get my wife to do as maybe a little test to see how she'd go with riding overseas. Okay, Zuzuki has said, do you have any intention of becoming the GC of La Tour de Centennial Park? No way. Centennial Park is it's run by the big boys. It's a super flat parkour. There's guys who go there on like Thursday night. It's called The Chop, and they're like KOM for like a 5-lap TT is like over 50k an hour, and there's no way I could keep up with that. I will happily just do my casual laps with my group and then go to the cafe after. Inlin Joe 13 has asked, what do you think about using ChatGPT as a cycling coach? I have currently, and it's not been bad. I actually think that's a great idea. One of the main reasons for having a coach is just to give you a bit of structured training, as well as give you some ideas of things that you can do that would be outside of your normal training regime. So I think having a ChatGPT coach is a great way to just get you started, give you some structure. But if you do want to take your fitness and your cycling a bit more seriously, I'd probably say you do need to get like a in real life coach. And the reason for that is they're better at keeping you accountable, because you know that there's an actual human there who's going to be looking at your activities and probably judging you to some degree if you're not keeping up with your training. And then also they can tailor your workouts a bit more around your schedule and your lifestyle. So for example, a ChatGPT coach could look at just look at your Strava and see how you went in your last training. But like a real life coach, they could ask you, how's your week looking? Maybe you've been a little bit sick, or you've had a bit of lack of sleep or something, and they can kind of tailor that workout plan to your exact lifestyle. Okay. Amit asked, what are your goals for the marathon? So this is my first time doing a marathon properly. Last year I did the marathon, but I badly injured myself, so I just was aiming to finish. This year for the marathon, I'd really love to do it under 3.5 hours, which is a 5-minute pace. My dad, he's doing the marathon as well, and he's got the same goal. So I think it'd be nice to just stick with him. We can have a nice sufferfest together and hopefully get over the finish line together under 3 hours 30. I'll be happy with that. Also, side goal, if I don't need to go to the toilet during the marathon, for some reason whenever I just start running, I always need to go do a poo, and last year in the marathon I had to do a poo, and look, there's heaps of portaloos. It just feels like such a waste of time having to go to the toilet during a marathon. All right. Is there anything you keep in mind to avoid crushing or slipping on roads, especially on downhill? Number one is, if you're turning, don't have your, on your inside where you're turning, don't have that foot down, because that your pedal will strike the ground. So I'd always say have that foot up, have your outside foot down, and use your center of gravity just to help you get around the turns. apart from that, ride to the conditions. Like for example, if the ground looks a bit wet or maybe even like a bit mossy, I'd just like, you know, try and spot that ahead of time and slow down. Riding to the conditions is probably the most important thing, because sometimes people just rail it without even knowing what's around the corner, and then that's how they usually crash. Oh, okay. Slow Matter said, hey, do you have any recommendations for scenic sightseeing rides for someone visiting Sydney? This is a question I get asked a lot on Instagram. Heaps of people message me all the time about what's some good routes they can do when they're in Sydney. And I'd say there's plenty of options and plenty of different ones you can do. But the main thing that people are kind of restricted by is where you're staying in Sydney, because there's really nice rides to the north of Sydney, but it's quite far away. And if they're staying in the city, then it's a different recommendation. So if you're staying in the city, I'd say the Eastern Beaches, La Perouse and Centennial Park. And if you're fit, you can easily do like a 100-kilometer ride. I'd say go to the north, which is where the rides I like doing, up to the Ku-ring-gai Chase National Park. West Head is probably one of the most beautiful routes. It's just goes up into the national park up north, and it's got some beautiful lookouts. So West Head, Akuna Bay, Three Gorges, those are all iconic north rides. If you're staying to the south of Sydney, then Kernell is a nice flatter ride, or Royal National Park. So that's a whole bunch of suggestions there. I've made guides on YouTube for most of those routes I've just talked about just now, and that should give you a good indication of what those rides are like. There's a lot of elevation in Sydney, not many big climbs, but heaps of rollers, so that's something to watch out for. Okay, Roberto. Sydney Park rides, I rewatched a few where you're filming with a GoPro mouth mount. If so, how are you able to breathe? A lot of practice. When I started, I found it hard, also because holding the GoPro with my mouth. Actually, I've got it right here. So this is an Insta360, and this is how I film majority of my videos, like this, like that. And I just hold it with my teeth. I've gone through so many of these mounts because I end up like biting through the plastic, or I snap it, and I've just got like boxes of them because I've just go through so many of them. But this is the best way I find to film for me, because I don't like to do just like static chest mounted or head mounted shots. I like to be able to like point it at people, or, you know, just point it up at the trees or scenery, and I get to be able to capture lots of different angles. So that's how I prefer to film. It does take a little while to get used to holding it in your mouth. I can't say I've got a defined shoreline, but working on it. Videos from Razor, welcome. Thanks for tuning in, mate. Thanks for joining. Joel Baker said, what are your thoughts on an integrated bar and stem? Any benefit apart from looks? It is mainly looks. People will tell you there's an aerodynamic benefit, and I would say it is single-digit watts, probably less than 5 watts. But it does look super nice and clean, and usually you can get nice like mounts as well if you're Garmin. If you've done a bike fit and you're very confident that your setup is what's right for you, then, you know, I don't see any issue with going with an integrated bar and stem and just locking it in. That being said, it's expensive and mechanics hate it because it requires internal routing. But yeah, I'd say that's the only benefit. Eugene says, a coach that costs a lot of money will make you want to stick with it. That is true. There's sunk cost fallacy right there. Dan Tuber said, did you get latest Insta360 camera like all the other cycling YouTubers? Yes, I actually got it a few hours ago. It came in the mail. Opened it up, super excited to use it on my ride tomorrow. I'm quite interested because the Go 3S, I did like that camera, but the thing is, because it's mounted on that little magnetic pendant, like I ride quite aggressively, like leaning down forward, and then because I do that, the camera just points at the ground. So apparently this new pendant has like a little wedge in it which kind of tilts it up a bit. So I'm curious to use it, and after this stream I'm actually going to unpack it and set it up for tomorrow. Okay. Hello Abe. Abe says, I'd like to see you do another Alleycat but on a steel fixie. I don't have a steel fixie. I don't know if I'd be brave enough to ride one. The Alleycat was fun. Definitely something very different to what I'm used to. But I think, you know, because I did it with another road cyclist, and we're so used to just obeying the road rules, stopping for red lights, being like, yeah, I think we lost probably a bit of time there. But, you know, I think it's probably better to be safe than just run around without any regard for anyone. Joel Baker says, you're not alone with the mid-run poo. There's just the act of running is like just makes you want to go. Pearson says, plans for riding in Singapore. I'd love to ride in Singapore. I'd love to go see my bros there. I'd love to go see Jasper Tan. I've been talking to him for quite a while. And I think the riding over there looks pretty fun, albeit like there's not too many routes. But I would love to do a lap around Singapore. That'd be a cool one-day ride. Hello, Mint Paws. Welcome to the stream. Elliot Buchanan says, any racing plans over the summer? So just yesterday I was just going through my bank statements and I was just looking through it, and I saw that the race license for Oz Cycling is $400, well $392, and I'm like, man, I've only done like 3 races this year, so I definitely need to get more of my money's worth out of that race license. I do plan on doing a bit more racing in the summer. Need to get my cycling fitness back, but once I finish this marathon I'm going to start getting back into it. Probably not take racing too seriously, probably just do like the occasional C or B grade, but it is a lot of fun. I've got quite a few friends who do racing, and it's always fun just to do like races with your friends. Yeah. Do you end up drooling onto your camera? Yes. The answer is yes. Thoughts on suspension stems like Redshift for road bikes? I've seen a suspension stem for gravel bikes. I'm not sure how well it works. Like my friend has one. I probably would prefer suspension in the fork, but I understand that a suspension stem is probably maybe easier to maintain. Yeah, I'm not too sure. I don't have that much experience with the suspension. I think for a road bike you shouldn't really need it if you're just riding on pavement. Gravel and mountains where that's more applicable. Alright, Dennis Dexter to Toscano has asked, what's your go-to headlight and tail light for riding in the city? And luckily for you, I have them right here. So this one here is my front light. So this is an Exposure Sirius Mark 10. Really good front light. It is 900 lumens, which is not as bright as, you can get definitely ones on the market which are brighter than that. But I found that the battery life of this is really good. It also is like a really nice light. Machined aluminium. It's got like a nice weight to it. It's quite elegant. And then the rear light, I've got two of them here. This is the Tracer R from Exposure, and then the other one is the React. Yeah, you got like the same form factor. The Tracer R is just like your standard rear light, and I think the React actually has like a peloton mode where I think it can detect if like there's riders behind you, something like that. But yeah, both great lights. I did talk about this in one of my recent videos where I talk about like my bike setup. Great lights, bit expensive though. So yeah, I think it's just like your standard road cyclist gadgets where they just charge you an absolute arm and a leg just because it looks nice. All right, Tomar Falls has said, what bike brand would you consider for your next bike? This goes back to another one of my videos where I was at the Spoken bike show and I got to see some custom handmade Australian titanium bikes, and I would love to have an Australian titanium bike one day. The only problem is their price is quite prohibitive. Like if you look at brands like Bastion, Baum, easily $20,000, which is a lot of money. I could buy a car for that much. So if I win the lotto, maybe. Hey Will, welcome to the stream. Thanks for coming along, mate. Appreciate it. Videos from Razor has said, have you ever had any interactions with recumbent riders? There's actually a guy who's in Centennial Park all the time, and he's riding one of those recumbent like bikes where you lie down and use your hands to pedal it. He always loves drafting behind the groups. I've never really talked to him before, but that's an interaction with one of them there. Brad says, hit me up if you want to borrow a steel fixie. Appreciate it, Brad. That's very generous of you. And Outspoken has said, if money and time were not a limit, is there an event, ride, race anywhere around the world which you'd like to do? That is an easy one for me. The Taiwan KOM challenge. I remember when I was a new cyclist and I saw this, like how they did it on GCN, and it's just like an absolutely crazy event. Here it is here. Taiwan KOM challenge. What's the course? Race info? event info. Wow, it's got a real archaic website. It goes to a PDF. Oh my gosh, can't they just make a website for this? Alright, route map. Okay, so pretty much it is like 86 kilometers, but it's 3,275 meters elevation. And it's just like, it's just a bonkers climb the whole time you're climbing. But it just looks like an insane event, and there's just heaps of road cyclists. It looks really cool. Sorry, go up here, there we go, there's the route. So you start down like near the ocean, and then you just immediately, like after 15k, you just start climbing and climbing and climbing. Yeah, that's a cool event. I'd like to do it one day. All right. Riding Singapore sounds like cycling in a sauna. Yes, it does. But I would take that over the 1 month of rain that we've had here in Sydney. It's been bad. Velo Chicken says, can you talk about your experience with cycling clubs? I kind of want to get started racing, but don't really want to join a club. You don't need to join a club to start racing, at least here in New South Wales. You just need to have a racing license, and you just turn up. Yeah. You don't need to have be in a club. That being said, I'm a big advocate for the social side of cycling. Obviously, I'm part of a big club called Pastries CC. And actually, yeah, for anyone from Pastries here, drop a croissant emoji in the chat. But yeah, look, I love the social side of cycling. I think it's a great way to, be part of the community, find other people with like common interests. And you never know, you might be able to find some people in the club who are doing the same grade as you. You can maybe do a little bit of teamwork tactics together. It just adds another element to it. Yeah. Eugene says, your front light can buy a secondhand bike. That is true. Yes. Cycling is, if you want to spend money, there's no shortage of gadgets and little upgrades you can spend money on. B has said, just a comment, say as a newest rider, love your content. Appreciate it, mate. Thank you very much for watching. Ruben, thank you very much, man. Appreciate you guys watching my videos, tuning in. Even though I do really random adventures, like I feel like other content creators have a bit more like consistent content, whereas I feel like I just kind of just do lots of random things. Yeah. JJ says, any plans on collabing with other content creators like Max Man? So I feel like this is a funny thing because Max Man and I, back in the day, we both made City Olympic Park videos together. Like, that's how we started, both of us started YouTube, was on Tuesday nights, we used to go to City Olympic Park, we'd join the Pain Train chop group, and we'd just like whip laps for 1 hour, we'd both video it and make YouTube videos about it. And that's how it all started. Max and I, we do cross paths every now and then. We don't really ride in the same circles though. Like, I guess I'm more into like the social riding right now, especially because like running's my focus in fitness. Whereas he's proper into his training. He's got like a coach. He goes to chop rides and he like loves that. And I would love that too, but I just do not have the fitness to keep up. So maybe when I get back into it, you can see a collab. Alright, Outspoken has said, love it. Time to get you an invite to that. Yes, someone invite me to Taiwan KOM, please. Slow Math has said, I've been recovering from surgery, which has been preventing me from riding. Watching your videos has helped me live vicariously while I miss cycling. Well, thank you, man, and I hope you get better soon. And I'm glad that my videos can give you a little bit of a look into the outside world on a bike. Kevin, thank you very much, man. Thanks for dropping the croissant emoji. Dan Tuber says, can you talk about your sponsors, what you get, product money, and what you have to do in exchange for it? I can talk about it a little bit. I know this is something people are really curious about because it's like kind of like seeing like behind the curtain of YouTube. I have an email address associated with my channel, sponsors and businesses and companies. They reach out to me constantly, and quite a lot of them actually I either just don't have time, or what they want is a bit hard to it's a bit hard to like meet an agreement. Usually it's they'll be like, we want you to do a full review video, and I'm like, I don't have time for a full review video, and also my channel isn't about doing full reviews. I just want to do kind of adventures and just drop like little, like a 1 minute segment in there. Most sponsors will be sending you products for free, and then it's just a negotiation about what your rate would be for like a 90-second ad. Usually they just want you to do like a 60 to 1 minute or 60 seconds, like 90-second kind of integrated ad. And most brands, actually, I'll just tell them I'm just going to give my like straight up thoughts about it. And then by and large, most are actually okay with that. So yeah. Toma Falls gives a little heart sign here. It says collaborate with Nero show. So Chris Miller and I, we do text every now and then. I would love to go on the Nero show. I don't know if I've got enough hot takes for the Nero show, to be honest. But I wouldn't mind just sitting in there, getting on the podcast. It's a lot of fun. I do watch it every now and then. And yeah, like Jesse and Chris, they're great guys, been part of the Cycling Sydney community for as long as I can remember. When I first started cycling, I would watch Chris Miller. Like, that was like the guy to watch. So yeah. Tobias, welcome mate, welcome. How does Ollie and Wilbur feel about you wearing that hoodie? Well, Ollie's just sleeping. Ugh. Ollie's potatoing. The camera's here. Whoop. There we go. They're very lazy. They just got to wash. All right. Nick ONeal, any nutrition advice for peaks, and are you doing it in 2026? So I have accommodation locked in for peaks 2026. I haven't bought my ticket yet. The funny thing about peaks is accommodation is harder to get than the ticket, because there's actually very limited accommodation at the top of Falls Creek. So locking in accommodation in my mind was going to be more important than getting the ticket, and I'll sort out a ticket eventually. But yes, do have tentative plans to do it in 26. Even if I don't do it, going to peaks just for that weekend is so much fun. Just like thousands of people there, all for a big cycling event. Everyone's just doing little shakeout rides. The whole community's there. It's actually a really, really fun weekend. And even if you don't have any plans on riding peaks, I'd actually recommend like just going down there with friends, spending the weekend. Just go and experience it. Nutrition advice though, take advantage of the valet bags. You don't need to carry all the nutrition you need for the day on you. Just carry however much you need to get to the next valet checkpoint. And I would say keep on top of your electrolytes, and find carbohydrates that you can take on that will kind of break up the monotony of gels and drink mix. So for me, I brought like some chips, or just something savory or something that has a different flavor, because if you're doing it 10-hour, going for like a sub 10-hour peaks, 10 hours is a long time just eating gels, and and you'll be sick of them. So highly recommend just having a bit of variety. You can just put in your valet bag, and even if you don't eat it, that's okay. Like, I think Dinner Plane, they'll return your bag back to Falls Creek. So like, it's better to have something than look for something. All right. KB, welcome. He said, do you have a job? Are you doing this full time now as a YouTube gig? No, I do have a full-time job. YouTube is just something I do on the side, just something I've just kind of fitted around my life. In my full-time job, I'm a civil engineer. Don't know how much detail you guys want me to go into, but I started off in construction when I left uni, doing construction for tunnels, excavation, cut and cover, ground support. I don't know how much detail you guys want, but like shotcrete piles, rock anchors, that kind of stuff. I left that and went more into project management. That's pretty much what I do now. I do a lot more project and contract management. And it's been good, because getting out of construction, I'm in more of like a 9-to-5 office job now, which gives me quite a bit of freedom outside of that to ride my bike, make videos and edit them. And yeah, that's what I managed to do in my spare time. So the last year or two, just wherever I can find an hour or two, I just start editing videos, and I've had a lot of fun doing that. So this YouTube is just a side thing. I do sometimes have I've thought it'd be great if I had more time to make videos, because I know my upload schedule has been horrendous recently. I think I've done like 3 videos in the last like 2 months, I think. And I'm always like, oh, if I had more free time, I could make a video like once a week or twice a week. But I think I've come to accept that it's just, you know, my full-time job, that's what, you know, pays for the bills and everything. And then YouTube's just something realistically I should just have on the side for fun. Oh my gosh. Emoji explosion. Thank you, Will, for $10. How long are you streaming for? I can't watch until 9:15. I'll be streaming until I run out of questions, maybe like 10. But yeah, thank you. Appreciate the $10. I didn't realize I had that in the stream overlay, all those emojis popping up. Yeah, I'm gonna say, look, let's just go to like 9:30, 10. So I'll definitely pass 9:15. So you can come back after 9:15. All right. Where were we up to? I was talking about peaks. I was talking about YouTube. I was talking about work. Okay, Eddie Zhang. Have you been running for a long time? And how are you already up to running 3:30 in the marathon as a goal? I've been running since, I'm going to say, start of last year. So I'm going to say almost 2 years now. Definitely the cycling fitness translated to running really easily. For example, as soon as I started running, I found that my heart rate was quite manageable, and it was just about building up the muscles for running, especially conditioning of those muscles. And I think probably some of like that, I'm not going to say like work ethic, but kind of like fitness mentality from cycling translated to running quite easily as well. So for example, when I was cycling a lot, I'd cycle maybe 4 or 5 times a week, and that like kind of, I was already in that lifestyle. So when I started running, I just swapped out, like, you know, I was like, okay, I'll just cycle 3 days a week and I'll run 2 days a week. And it was quite easy to make that transition. Like I said earlier in the stream, like these endurance sports, it's all about discipline. There's no shortcuts. You just need to just do the time and you'll see the reward. So yeah, there's no silver bullet. You just need to, you know, if you want to be good at doing 100k rides, you just need to just ride further and ride more often. All right. All right, I'm going to try and quickly fly through some of these questions because there's quite a few that popped up on the stream. Okay, Zuzuki said, life's too short for just FTPs. What's your max power sprint? My max power sprint, I've done a bit over 1200 watts, and I'm 60 to 65 kilos. So I'll bring up the calculator, but roughly, like, I think it was like 18 or 19 watts per kilo, but that was only for like 5 seconds, and in a favorable condition where I was like sprinting on a slight uphill. Ellen Bogan has said, where can I buy secondhand bikes? These prices give me asthma attacks. I'm in New Zealand. So for bikes, if you're on a budget, I think there's nothing wrong with just going on the secondhand market. That's how I got my first road bike. Facebook Marketplace is great. I do understand it's a bit daunting. There's almost like an analysis paralysis because there's so many options available. But try and find maybe someone that you know who's a cyclist. Ask them for some pointers. I'd just say like quick and easy ones to look out for is make sure, like, if you're going to go and inspect a bike, obviously if it's carbon, you need to just make sure that there's no cracks or any like fatigue marks in the frame. And then your next big thing to check for is the drivetrain components. That's the main things to look out for on a secondhand bike. That being said, there are some more affordable ones you can get brand new now. You know, you don't need to go all the way to like Ultegra. You can get 105 or even like a lower tier group set. So there are some budget options. Okay, Kelvin Yang has said, Would you be buying the new Trek Madone one day? Would love to see more videos of you sharing your impressions of new bikes and gear. Maybe one day. I am an ambassador for Trek, and one of the great perks of being an ambassador is that you get pretty good discounts. So I can get a Trek Madone Gen 8 for a decently good discount, which is really nice of them. I just haven't made that plunge yet because I love my Monda, and I think I'll be riding my Monda for a while. I really enjoy that bike. I just like how snappy and responsive and light it is. That being said, Trek just released a Gen 8 Madone, which is like 6.4 kilos, which is ludicrous. Definitely not cheap though. But yeah, and the next part of the question was, well, you'd love to see me sharing my impressions of new bike and gear. Bikes and gear and that kind of stuff, I do like talking about it if it's something that I use very often, or it's something I used in my like day-to-day life. But I hate just like getting sent random things and having to review them all the time. So yeah, I prefer to be a bit more familiar with something first. Oh, I'm behind on the chat, but I can see Thomas is here, and a few other pastries members, so thank you guys. Joel Baker, what's good ride in Sydney to work on my cornering skills? Three Gorges. Three Gorges is a great one because there's 3 descents and they're all decently long ones, so that's my recommendation. NK Peach said, good luck with the Marajosh, rain should have cleared, looking good in the robe. Thank you very much, and yes, the rain should have cleared up by then. Fingers crossed, but I think today is like the last day of rain, allegedly, after a month of rain here in Sydney. Yes, I do have a ride in the morning. Luckily for me, the ride is it's at 6 a.m, but it is only like a 5-minute ride away, so I can wake up at like 5:30. Eugene says, do you watch Practical Engineering? I have seen it before, but it's not one of the ones I watch regularly. Probably like an engineering channel I watch regularly is B1M. Like I love seeing mega projects, just knowing like all the complexities and the difficulties behind them. And I feel like also that leans more towards the kind of work I've done, because I've usually worked on, I'm not going to say mega projects, but I've been quite lucky to have worked on quite large infrastructure projects in my line of work. Ruben has said, what do you use to record and edit your media? Yep, so majority of my videos are recorded with an Insta360 Ace Pro 2. Occasionally I'll use the X5 just to get some B-roll. Oh my gosh, more emoji explosion. I don't even know why I did that. But yeah, I exclusively use Insta360 products. I used to buy these cameras early on, and I'm sponsored by them, so I get all my cameras for free from them, but they're great products, and I have to say better than what GoPro has been releasing recently. In terms of what I use to edit my media, DaVinci Resolve, fantastic, awesome program. Huge learning curve at the start. It was really daunting when I first downloaded it, but it's free. I reckon it's the best free program for editing videos. There's heaps of tutorials online. And you can just make it as hard as you want. Like if you just want to put 2 videos side by side, put a transition and export it and call it a day, you're done. And if you can even do like 3D modeling and rendering and everything in there as well. I would say I'm still pretty basic. Like I just find music, put it on, find like clips that match it, and then I've gotten now to the point where I'm making little graphics for my videos. But I would not say I've delved that deeply into everything that's available in DaVinci Resolve. Alright, Jeff Davis says, how old are you? I'm 31. Life with Police says, when are you getting back into running? I am into running right now because I've got the marathon in 10 days. So I would say I'm in the deepest end of running as you can be. Slow Matt says, variety and nutrition for long rides can help a lot. My longest ride was 8 hours, and to my dismay, 3/4 of the way through, I found there was a limit to how many Cliff Bars one can eat in a row. That is so true. For me, I found out that I love citrus flavored gels, like orange, lemon, lime, like anything with like a citrusy kind of flavor. And then at peaks, I found out that like after, how many gels did I do? Like 16 gels. I was like, I can't do any more of these. Mr. Man says, best cafe recommendations in Sydney. All right. Cafe recommendations. Actually, one I went to today, Double Cross Dining in Crow's Nest. I really love that cafe. In terms of bakeries, Rollers in Manly, that is really high on my list. Buttercrumbs, Buttercrumbs has 2 locations, one in Ultimo, which is near the city, and one in Five Dock, which is the inner west. That's like a Korean fusion bakery place. And I'll give you one more. Humble. I really like Humble. Humble's in Surrey Hills in Sydney. They do fantastic sourdough breads as well. All right. Patreon says sauna after live streaming, or maybe after the ride tomorrow. Actually, that'd be really good. I think a sauna after the ride. I've been getting into sauna recently. I asked ChatGPT for the benefits of sauna and it gave me like 5 paragraphs, and I said, okay, I need to try it out. Colts TRG says, where are the McNuggets? How many can you fit in your mouth at once? The last 2 streams, I used to do eat McDonald's live on the stream. This time I decided to eat my dinner in peace so I could answer the questions and talk to you guys properly. But how many can I fit in my mouth? Maybe if you donate me $10, I can buy 24 nuggets and then I can see how many I can fit in my mouth. KB says, just comment, your Shimanami Kaido video is awesome. I've lived in Japan before, but not a cyclist, and as the first time this year on the ride based on your video. Thank you. Thank you very much, KB. And actually, if you believe it or not, Shimanami Kaido is actually a suggestion for my first ever stream. There's a guy in this chat here called Very Boring Name, and he actually suggested it in the stream chat. And I had a trip to Japan that was already booked. And I was like, what is this Shimanami Kaido thing? And I looked it up and I thought, okay, I have to try and do it. And I went and did it with my wife and I made a video about it, and it was one of the nicest rides I've ever done. Joe Esper, Trek, thumbs up. 4 hours standing. I work in engineering in Sydney and have found tons of cyclists in the community. Yeah, I think maybe there's an affinity between cyclists and engineers using our, public infrastructure. Jordan Bombos says, when Melbourne group ride? I'd like to get down to Melbourne. I actually went down to Melbourne last month, but I didn't bring the bike, so I would like to go down one day with the bike. That'd be really fun. Oh, Ron, welcome Warren. Thank you for joining. Oh my gosh, get them nuggets. All right, if the people want nuggets, then I will bring nuggets for the next stream, and we will see how many we can fit in our mouth. I'm going to try and do streaming more regularly, actually. I think it's a good way to just chat to the community. I know people have heaps of questions because people DM me questions on Instagram all the time, which I do love. But this format here is great because we can have almost like a conversation. Or eat nuggets, whichever you guys prefer. All right. Eugene says, do you like Ferrero Rochers? I do like Ferrero Rochers. They're yummy. Really expensive now for some reason. From Melbourne too. Come down, mate. I'd love to come to Melbourne. The Trek store's awesome there as well. And I know, I know a bunch of people down in Melbourne who I'd love to ride with. That being said, where is the Melbourne YouTubers? Where is the Melbourne cycling YouTubers? I feel like, Sydney's got so many. Like, we've got Chris Miller, we've got Jesse Coyle, myself, Max Mann, Felix Oates, Chris Fizviz, Moderate Cyclist. There's 7 right there. And where's the Melbourne YouTubers? Come on, guys. MR engineer, I'm struggling with trigonometry. Any advice? Help resources. Trigonometry, you just need to remember SOHCAHTOA. That's pretty easy, I think. Just crunch out your math problems, do some practice papers, and you'll be fine. Bisky the Risky says, thanks for those Tallawong videos back home and bike lanes around Sydney vids. Those were a big inspiration. Thank you very much for watching it, man. Those are some of the most enjoyable videos I've had just filming and riding, and I'd love to do it again when it stops raining. Mo 2022 says, just wanted to say thank you for your videos, definitely got me into cycling. I appreciate it, Mo. Thank you very much, and have a safe ride. Okay. I'm about to stream too. Have a good one. Okay, see ya, Ron Busy. Enjoy your stream, mate. So Ron Busy, he's in the chat here. He does a GTA 5 stream. So he's modded GTA 5, the video game, where he rides his bike in the game. It's really random. Yeah, so he goes up mountains and rides on the streets, and yeah, it's kind of crazy. All right. Brian rocks. How do you descend while only touching the white line in the middle? How do you descend while only touching the white line in the middle down Bumbo? You should definitely be keeping as far away from the white line as possible, because the white line is that painted surface which is really slippery. So I'd recommend staying away from it, hitting the apex, and then not hitting the white line afterwards. Avnish G said, how many hours a week do you train, and what is your split of zone 2 versus high intensity? My training is definitely more in zone 2, especially for running. So this past couple of weeks of running, I've probably been doing about 4 to 5 hours of running a week, and maybe about 30 minutes to an hour of that will be interval sessions. But everything zone 2, I think zone 2 is a good way to just get the volume in. Like, if you're not too time poor, it's a good way just to get the volume in. But if you are under a big time crunch and you say only have a couple of hours a week to exercise, you'd probably get more benefit out of doing maybe more threshold and more interval sessions. DJM said, what do you think is the longest, most challenging, best climb in Sydney? Probably Kuna Bay. Jake Ella, what's your favorite cycling bib and jersey brand? Well, I have to say right now, I am sponsored by Attacker, and I have to say I really love it, especially the ONeal line. If you guys haven't tried ONeal yet, it is, I don't know how to describe it. It's not like any other material that I've worn in cycling. It's really nice. So Attacker, they're a Sydney brand. Love them, and I appreciate that they support me and the channel. Ocean Han, what do you think of toe clip pedals? I haven't tried cleats and was told it's a good way to get started using them. I probably wouldn't recommend them, because at least for cleats you can kind of twist your foot and pull out, whereas toe clip ones, say you're pedaling forward, you have to pull your foot backwards. I'd say it's you might as well just use cleats. If you want to start off with something easier, just start off with the Shimano SPD mountain bike ones where you can clip out and still walk on the shoes. Yeah, I think that'd be a good one. That's how I started using cleats. Slowmath says, really enjoy the map graphics on your videos. Always really cool to get context of where you're going on the ride. Yeah, that's something I realized as soon as I started getting an audience that's outside of Sydney, was that, people had no context for where these locations were, and they had no idea. For example, I'd say, okay, I'm just going to go up north to Kuna Bay, but if you've never been to Sydney before, it's a bit hard to visualize what that means. So I found that drawing the maps was a great way to communicate that to people without having to do a whole Google Earth blow up or something like that. Videos from Razor. How do you increase your subscribers? You just make more content and hope that people resonate with it, and then they'll subscribe to see more. So I'd say if you're making videos yourself, the best way to increase your subscribers is just find ways that connect with people, whether that be through your story or, you provide some value for them, like you're making a guide or something like that. So that'd be my recommendation. Eugene said, you used to dress up in a suit and have dinner with us. Now you're just in an Udi with no food. I thought that this would be a better quality way of spending time with you guys. Outspoken says, we're too busy riding, not videoing. Ron Dizzy, does Melbourne live streaming cyclists count? Look, I guess you count. I was thinking more along the lines of Melbourne vlogging cyclists. If anyone knows any Melbourne vlogging cyclists, let me know, because I have not come across people who upload consistently, and I'd love to see it, because I want to kind of see what Melbourne cycling is like. 2 wheels and a croissant. Actually, speaking of, we do have a content creator from Melbourne. We do have a couple of them in the chat tonight. Dan Schubert. Maven used to be the go-to Melb YouTuber, and then he got married. He did make one video somewhat recently where he had an e-cargo bike, and he made a video about that and his wife and kids and stuff. But I can see that he, his lifestyle is just too busy to be a YouTuber. 11th Wombat is a Melbourne-based cyclist. He has a YouTube channel. Okay, I'll check out that. Hello Bello, Wello Jello says you should check out Jasper Tan. He's a cool YouTube cycler in Singapore. I love Jasper's videos. I talk to him on Instagram pretty regularly actually. We just bounce ideas of each other, and yeah, he's a great guy. Awesome videos. He's like background is he makes he's like a producer for like rap videos, which is kind of random, but you can definitely see how he puts his like personal style and his character into all his videos. Two Snakes says the thumbnail design for your stream was nice, mate. Did you do it or designer? I did this myself in my afternoon. I went on Canva, I like banged together like this grass, put my dogs on it, made them wiggle around, put a sun up there, and then I like taught myself how to like kind of make this stream overlay. So I've got this one here, and then I made this other one which is like that, so I can show you guys my screen. But yeah, that's pretty much how I spent my afternoon. I'm glad that someone noticed it and enjoyed it, because before I was just doing like streaming with just a camera and that was it, not even like a text box. All right. Where were we up to? Video idea from John. Tour to Costco. Ride to all Costco's in Sydney and buy a hot dog. Well, if someone wants to give me their Costco membership card, that might not be a bad idea. One thing I do love from Costco is like that 2 kilo bulgogi, like marinated meat. That's like super value for money. Time for an outfit change, says Eugene. Time for a costume change. All right. To appease everyone, I've got the lederhosen underneath. There we go. The lederhosen was underneath the whole time. I was just getting too hot with that booty on. All right. Where was it up to? Outspoken, asking people to sit on someone's wheel or just doing it and thanking them when you peel off. Usually like if it's a solo rider, and I'll usually ask it's alright if I draft off you. But if there's like a group and they're all just chatting to each other, I just sit on the back, and then when I peel off, I thank them. And I've never had any issue with that. I think this is something people get like a bit too upset about. Like I don't know why people get like upset about people drafting, and they think, I don't know. Yeah, some people just get. I see it on Reddit all the time. People getting mad that people are drafting off them. All right. John Byrne. Yes, the Adidas Velo Samba with the SPD is a nice shoe to use because you can wear it casually. Then you can just jump on your bike with those SPD cleats. Really good. Outspoken says, do you care if someone's sitting on a wheel without asking, or you don't mind? Yeah, I don't mind at all usually. Like, yeah, I don't really care. Maybe if I was out in the middle of nowhere and there was no one around and then someone just got on my wheel, I'd be like, it'd be nice if you just said hello to me or something. But yeah, I don't really mind. There's actually a draft benefit to having someone sit in your wheel. You don't believe me? There's math to it. So if someone's sitting in your wheel, so imagine the air is hitting you, it's going over you, and then if there's no one behind you, that air kind of swirls around and you have a turbulent negative pressure air zone behind you. But if someone's sitting directly behind you, it actually removes that, and then you don't have any like suction force behind you. It's a very, very small amount, but there actually is a benefit to having someone sit behind you. You can look it up online. It exists. Ruben asked, does an Insta360 GoPro on a chest mount work for cycling if I wanted to get some clips or vids for social media? Yep, 100% works. That's a great POV. Just wearing a harness on your chest. Great way to show your handlebars and your hands. I personally just hand hold my camera, but yeah, that's a great way to do it, and you don't need to fiddle around with holding camera and riding with one hand. Josh has asked, peaks again. Yep, I talked about this a little bit earlier in the stream, but I do have accommodation for peaks next year, and I don't have my ticket yet, but I'm planning to do it. Elvis says, bruh, I've been watching you since I was a kid. Thank you. You must be quite young then, because I've only been making videos for a couple of years. Cam Nichols is in Brisbane, Gold Coast. So he's up in Queensland, yeah. Slowmath said, have you ridden in a velodrome before? There's something I would recommend, just try it once. No, I haven't. I would love to ride in a velodrome at least once. I've heard that the bank is actually quite insane. It's really, really leaned over. So it's something I'd like to try. Mega Troll Explorer. Would you do a collab with Durin Rider? So here's a funny thing. Durin Rider actually watches my videos because I've seen that he's subscribed to my channel. But he's like never commented anything, or I think maybe he's like messaged me once about like when I said something about disc brakes. Probably not. He's quite a inflammatory personality. That being said, maybe I wouldn't mind doing like one ride with him just for the experience. Oh dear, people. Eugene's looking at my my bookmarks on my browser. I knew I should have hidden them. Thank you, Biscuity the Riskity. Thank you. Yeah, the overlay. I think I'm pretty happy with it. The only thing I need to get now is I lent my sister my mirrorless camera, so I need to get that back from her, and then I can have a proper camera for the setup. JJ says, love your dogs, they're so cute, hope for more YouTube content. Yes, well, Ollie is right there having a nap. He had a long walk this afternoon and he's having a well-earned rest, and I will try to find a way to feature them more in the YouTube videos. Yes. Okay. Hey Josh, what's the difference between YouTube and Instagram audience community? Also keen to see how you use the Go Ultra. Thank you very much for the question. Yes, there is a difference between YouTube and Instagram, which I've noticed just from, you know, just being on both the platforms for a little bit of time. Granted, I'm way more dedicated to YouTube. I've found that YouTube is a great way to build a community. You always get the same people coming back. Like a lot of the people who are in the chat right now, I know you guys have been watching my videos, commenting, not for a short amount of time. Like you've been in my comments and watching my videos for well over a year, and I feel like you really build up that community and those people that, like, you know, come back regularly. They follow your life and your story. I feel like the Instagram community to some degree is very like, you know, maybe this is just my algorithm, but like Instagram's very like, you know, quick little dopamine hits, you know, what's the current trendy audio, you know, what's kind of like a funny meme content right now. Oh gosh, meme explosion again. I actually have no idea how this is getting triggered. How the meme, yeah. There must be a command for it, or maybe it's when I say something, it just does that. But yeah, I feel like Instagram is a great way to build up followers quickly, but I don't know if that, if they really kind of follow your journey. So I guess if you're trying to tell like a story or you want to get people continually back, YouTube's a better platform. The good news is you don't need to choose. Like you can you can make long form content, post it on YouTube, and then convert that into like short form content, put it on Instagram. So yeah. Jake Ella, any tips to things to check for when buying a second-hand carbon bike? Yep, definitely. I'd be checking. The main things to check is obviously the frame, because the frame's where the biggest risk is. Checking around the seat stays and the chain stays. That's typically when people crash their bike. That's usually one of the quick first things to go. Just making sure near where the chain ring is, you know, where the pedals are. Sometimes when people drop their chain, the chain falls onto the inside and it scrapes the carbon. So have a look in there, make sure that the carbon's not all broken up around where the chain rings are. And then obviously just checking the drive chain components, because the last thing you want to do is buy a secondhand bike and then you need to spend $600 on buying a new chain rings, cassette, etc. So yeah, those are the main things. No, I'm not wearing an apron. This is my lederhosen that I bought off Amazon for Oktoberfest, and I'm trying to get value out of it, so I'm trying to find excuses to wear it. And the Udi got too hot. Altier Solutions says thoughts on the Merida 5000. Merida's a great bike. They're a great bike, good value for money. I think Meridas are completely fine. You know, they're made in the same factory as Specialized. So, yeah. Hello, Bello Jello. Singapore cycling trip when? Gotta follow Max Mann's footsteps, lol. So here's the funny thing about Singapore. So I'm half Malaysian, and my family in Malaysia, when I was growing up to visit them, I'd have to fly through Singapore. And I've actually been to Singapore about 15 times. Just growing up, high school, uni, I used to go so often. But ever since I started working, I just haven't had time to go to Singapore. I used to go like almost every year, and I'm just too busy now. So when I have the leave saved up, I would love to go to Singapore, even for a few days, go ride out, do circumnavigate the island. That'd be really fun. Dan Chivers asks, favorite road shoes? Yes, my favorite road shoes are the Shimano RC 903s or the S-Fires. They are a really, really good shoe. I found that the ventilation on them is fantastic. Yeah, these shoes probably fit me the best as well. They also look super nice and clean. Come on guys, like look at that. Ooh. Really nice. The double boa is really good for just locking that foot in. It's got like little vents on the underside as well, so in summer you get like a nice cool ventilation on the bottom of your foot. Good shoes, obviously expensive. Like look at that, $600 at full price. Come on man, like don't buy any cycling things full price guys. Alright, Chase Julian, have you got the new Insta360 Go Ultra? I do, and if you guys give me 1 second, I'll go grab it. You're watching the live stream. Here it is. How about we unbox it on stream together, guys? Look at that, it's still in the plastic wrap. You guys want to unbox it? Do some, I don't know, do a croissant emoji in the chat if you want to unbox now. We can, I'll put it right here. Let's see if people want to see that. Okay. Where were we up to? Thoughts on disc brakes? Love disc brakes. I think they're great. Obviously maintenance is a bit harder because you've got hydraulic fluids, but I think once you get them set up and I think they're great. Obviously, I'm a kind of new road cyclist and I never use rim brake that much. I think I've ridden one rim brake bike. Try riding rim brakes with carbon wheels in the wet. It is horrendous. It is so scary. So disc brakes, I love them. Spoken, have you ever had an incident with a car, or if not, what's the closest you've come? I've been really lucky, never had any incidents with cars. My kind of rule of thumb is just try and be respectful on the road, because you're the most vulnerable person on the road when there's all these vehicles. So it's better just to be safe and sorry, and just safe than sorry, and just just play a bit more cautiously. Usually that means I'll just give way or let them go. And if people do drive aggressively or get angry, there's no need to, it can feel insulting in the moment, but you just let them go. It's not worth having a fight about it. All right, I see the croissants in the chat. We will open it up. I'll just answer a couple more of these questions, and then we'll unbox the Insta360 Go Ultra, which arrived literally at 5 p.m. It arrived just before the end of the business today. I got the delivery guy was ringing the doorbell, and I was like, what this arrived already. So yeah. Plantro has said, how do you create the map animations? They're very nice. Pretty much what I do is I get my ride off Strava or Garmin. I take a screenshot of that. I put it in DaVinci Resolve. I trace the map. And then what I do once I've traced it, and you can turn it into an animation. You can draw its line on. You can make it into little dots or anything you like. And then essentially what I do is I just do the map, and then I do an icon which follows that map. So that's a really simple way of explaining it. Yeah, it's actually quite easy to do. I think it's one of those really nice things where it looks like it's a lot of effort, but it's actually kind of easy. Yeah. Okay, where were we up to? What are you wearing? Some kind of apron? It is my lederhosen. Supreth G5 said, hi bro, love from India. Hello, welcome to the stream. Thank you very much. Does Jess like the skin suit yet? No, she doesn't, but she might like the new one that's coming out, the Pastries CC new skin suit from Attacker. So hopefully she likes that one. Josiah said, "Yo, Josh, do you have any cheap, reliable carbon wheel sets recommendations?" 3 recommendations for you. Ascent. These are Singaporean carbon wheels that I use, and I'm sponsored by them. I've got my wheels from them. I think they're really good. The price is not as good as some of these other brands I'm going to list, but I think you do get good quality out of Ascent. They handle crosswinds really well. Their hub is really nice, and I think they're quite good quality. But if you're looking for other brands, Magine are insanely well priced these days. Windspace, very well priced, and some good options in terms of wheel depths. And finally, Fast Sports. Fast Sports are making some crazy light wheels for the price. Yeah, and they look good as well. So there's what, 4 or 5 suggestions right there. Okay. NK, welcome to the chat. Thank you for joining. Yes, there's a history to this Lederhosen. At Oktoberfest, when we went drinking out with the Pastries guys, we were all drunk and we bought Peaks tickets. This is back in 2024, so come full circle now. Okay. Sebastian Sowiski has said, "Hey Daddy Kwan, thinking of doing any Sydney club races soon?" Yes, once the marathon's over, I'd love to get back into racing. West Head Road Race, that's a really fun one, albeit super hard. Need to do Heffron again. That's like the quintessential Sydney crit race. Yeah, it'd be good to get back into it just to get some value out of my race license, which costs so much money. Ruben has said, "When you travel, do you bring your bike? And if so, what bike, box or bag do you use?" So I've actually only done riding once overseas for Shiminami Kaido, which was in Japan, and I rented a bike when I was there. I'd like to bring my own bike overseas, but it's just, I haven't got a bike, box or bag, and I haven't thought about the logistics or how much it costs yet. So yeah, for now, I've done one trip and I've just rented a bike. Outgear Solutions. Cheers, good to know. The Merida 5000 is my first road bike. I just bought it a month ago. I know it's not that expensive, but I was pretty scared laying down that much money on a bike. That is fine, mate. You know, the best bike is the one that you ride. You don't, you know, in cycling, the most expensive thing isn't necessarily the best. It could just be like, what's the most blingy? So, you know, you don't need to get, you know, hung up about the price of your bike. I think the Merida 5000 is a fantastic bike. And Hello Bello Jello says, "I plan on buying the Giant Propel at the end of the year. Any thoughts?" The Propel's also a great bike, especially when they do sales. You can get super value for money. So yeah, highly recommend the Propel. All right, I think it's about time we open the Go Ultra, and we've got the nice plastic wrap on it. So let's do this without damaging it. But do you guys want to see it, or do you want to hear the plastic coming off? All right, well, how about I cut it there first? And then we'll do some ASMR. Whoops. Voila. So, as you guys can see, I've got sent a black one, and it's almost like a cube kind of shape, like a, whoa, magnetically attached to the box. How's that? There it is. I was going to say it's almost like an AirPod case. So it's definitely bigger than the Go 3S. And that's it there. And we'll see what else is in the box. So look at this. It opens like a little bonbon or something. What is this? Whoa. Instruction manual. There's a sticker. And then, okay, inside the box there it says, "Go explore, go enjoy, go capture, go create." And then we've got another box, and I'm assuming this is like the pod. We've got the new, another emoji explosion. I'll wait for it to stop. Yep. Okay, so we've got, this is the new magnetic pendant. So this one here, if you can see from the side, it actually has like a little wedge, which means that you can have it at a slight angle. which is good for us road cyclists. But the issue is it enough of an angle? It's only about 15 degrees, I'm going to say. And it just sits on there like that, on the pendant. Oh, or not. That is not very secure on the pendant. Am I doing something wrong? I reckon that could come off pretty easily. That does not feel secure. Am I doing something wrong here? Okay, anyway. What else is in the box? Another USB-C charging cord. And then this is the pod here which the camera goes in. So you go in like that. Boom. And then you can open the screen at the back. Well, here we go, ready? Does that sound good, guys? There we go. Yep, we've done the drop test. There we go, screen pops up. And then we can turn it on like this. Will it turn on? Probably needs to be charged up. Oh, there we go. Voila. No SD card. Alright, I'll set it up after the stream for the ride tomorrow, and I think I'll need to charge it up. Nothing else in the box, guys, just these little snacks that they give you with it. I'm gonna charge it up. Alright. First impressions. It is very compact. It's definitely bigger than the Insta360 Go 3S. How do you? Oh. I do like it. It's got a bigger sensor. I think the sensor's twice as big as the previous one, so theoretically better in low light. We'll have to see tomorrow how it goes. Okay. Slow Master said, when I travel, I really love hiring a bike to spend a day exploring the city. It's a really great way to see a new place and stumble across cool things you'd never come across otherwise. I agree completely. It's kind of like, you know, if you go walking around an area, you see all these things for the first time. Same with cycling. You're just going a little bit slower, you get to appreciate your surroundings more, and it's a great way to travel and explore. Oh, I have a Vietnamese fan. Ask away. What question do you have? Compare the lowest position after you remove all the spaces to the position when you have 1 or 2 spaces in the Amonda. How different is that? Typically a spacer, the thinnest space is about 5 millimeters. So if you're saying you have 2 spaces, that's 10 millimeters higher. I have an Amonda with 2 spaces and think of slamming it. I want to know your experience. So if you remove 10 millimeters, theoretically remove 10 millimeters of spaces, your front end goes down 10 mil, but also you have to lean forward a little bit more, because if you imagine you're like a triangle, so your reach will also extend a little bit as well. I think 10 mil is not big in the scheme of things, but I don't like, for me, I'm gonna say I'm relatively flexible, so 10 mil is like not too bad. But yeah, for you, if your flexibility isn't your strongest suit, or if you're really comfortable with, with your spaces in there, like, there's nothing wrong with leaving them in. If having a slam stem is something that you really love the look of, why not just take the spaces out and then just put like the spaces on the top of the thing, on top of the stem, and then you can just try it out, just see how it goes for a bit. Yes, Noel, bulgogi from Costco is disgusting. What? I get my Korean barbecue meats from Korean butcher in Campsie, more authentic. Fair enough. I'm all about value for money here. Just bulk buying. Hirschfield says, hey Josh, you and the Nero show crew are the reason I visited Australia and cycled from Melbourne to Sydney last February. You rode from Melbourne to Sydney. That is nuts. And it's pretty sure it's over 1,000 kilometers. How far is it? To cycle from Melbourne to Sydney. Okay, I want the distance though. Maybe I should type in distance. Yeah, it's over 1,000 kilometers. That is insane. You're crazy, mate. That is bonkers. Well, I'm glad you had a good time. Ethan Yan says, how do you guys go through the airport tunnel and Holmes Drive down south in the morning? The route always seems a bit sketchy. So we leave really early in the morning. I think we are leaving before 6 a.m. always in a group, and we always make sure everyone's got their rear lights on. It's actually not too bad. A lot of cyclists use that, but I would not recommend doing it in busier periods of the day. So definitely something to do when it's early. There's not many cars on. Yeah. The reason why people use Southern Cross Drive, the airport tunnel and General Holmes Drive is because the alternate to doing that is riding on Princess Highway. It has a lot of traffic lights, a lot of potholes, very stop-start, and there's actually just as much cars on there. So yeah, that's why most people use General Holmes. It's just quick, easy, no traffic lights. You're down to the south part of Sydney in like 10 minutes because you can average about 40-50k an hour. Lucasana Sansa 8350. Hey Josh, where should I ride tomorrow? Ideally something over 50 kilometers. If you're in Sydney and you want to do a 50-kilometer ride, why not go and check out North Head in Manly? From the city to North Head and back, I think that's about just 45 kilometers. Yeah, there you go. That's a ride for you. Dan Cheever, slamming is old school. That is true. Slamming is old. Everyone's all about that, like up that aero position, bent elbow, TT style almost. That's the thing now. Thanks. I use the integrated handlebar, so the only choice is the chop. What do you think if I just slam it and let my body adapt later? Because for me, that's a one-way ticket. To be honest, 10mm, I don't know if that will really ruin your life. It sounds like you really want to do it. So I know nothing about how old you are, how flexible in and things like that. I say if you're young and you feel like you can adapt to it, just do it. Altitude Solutions. Have you cycled in Perth before? Cycling is pretty popular over there, and it seems difficult to find a group to cycle with as someone with no connections. No, I haven't ridden in Perth before, but I do follow a YouTuber over there, the Velographer. He seems to ride with quite a few different groups there. Maybe go and see which groups he rides with, and I think if you're always stuck to ride with the group, there is always your local club, and they should be quite welcoming. Show us the dog. Dog is there. Ollie. He's sleeping. That's one of them. Wilbur's in the other room. Where's the Udi? Udi's on the ground. It got too hot, so I'm wearing my lederhosen now. And yeah, put North Head into Strava and see how you go. Sean has said, are you planning to do any more cycling trips abroad? I am tentatively planning to do Seoul to Busan next year, hopefully in autumn in Korea, which is around September, August. But Seoul to Busan is a beautiful cycling route. I hear that it's like about 600 or 700 kilometers entirely on bike path. To Busan bike path. So yeah, so it's called the Four Rivers Cycle Path, 633 kilometers, and is a dedicated cycling route following these rivers. So that's what it looks like, and I'd love to do it over the course of like a week with my wife. Granted, I need to train her up, but I've seen a couple of videos on it. It looks really nice. Oh, whoops, sorry. The whole way has got like convenience stores and accommodation and everything, and it just follows this river. Looks quite nice, huh? And I think it'd be nice to do over, just bit over 100 kilometers a day. There we go. See, this is the cycleway. Like, you get like a nice bike lane the whole way next to the river, beautiful scenery. What isn't there to love? So yeah, I'd really like to do that next year. That's the plan. Need to get her on a road bike though. I think it'd be more fun on a road bike than doing it on an e-bike. Alright. Slow Math, see ya, mate. Thank you very much for joining the stream. Appreciate it. Outspoken has asked, when you are coming down to Melbourne to do some group rides, do a comparison of Melbourne routes versus Sydney. So from what I've seen is Melbourne, a lot of people ride along Beach Road, and that's a very, very common route, which is nice and flat, and you get a lot of groups doing that. Sydney is very divided by its geography. Like if you're on the west of Sydney, you're riding M7 and down near Warringam Dam and stuff. If you're in the north, you're just going to Ku-ring-gai Chase. If you're on the south, you're just going to Royal National Park, and everyone kind of sticks to their quadrant of Sydney. So yeah, I'd be curious to see what Melbourne is like, and also kind of the Melbourne group riding scene. PH has asked, hey Josh, any recommendations for an entry-level bike shoes? How much would you spend on the first pair? Currently getting in cycling and not looking to spend a fortune. I appreciate that people ask me these kind of questions about what's good budget gear and stuff. I feel like because I've been in the cycling scene for so long, I am out of touch with what normal people want to spend on cycling gear and what a normal price for gear would be. Physique makes some good shoes. Oh gosh, why don't we just go shopping together right now? We'll go on Cash and apparel. Where we got shoes? Oh, sorry. Road bike shoes, and we'll sort by physique. Look at this. Cash is getting free advertising right now. So how physique pricing works is R5 is the cheapest, and then R1 is the most expensive. So here, for example, this would be physique's entry level because it's an R5. But that $100 looks pretty good. Got a boa and a Velcro. What's the difference between that and the R4? R4 just looks like it's just boa with no Velcro. You got these ones here with just Velcro. Oh no, whoops, my bad. Boa is really nice because the good thing about boa is you can tighten it, and then while you're riding, if you find it a little bit too tight, you can just dial it back one notch and then loosen it a little bit, and you can be quite modular with how tight you make the shoes, which is really handy in summer if your feet get they expand a bit and they get a bit hot. So yeah, there you go. There's some I'm not sure what your price range is, but there's some here from $100 all the way up to $500. So plenty of options here. Physique. I think also Pedal Mafia do really good sales just on random accessories. If you go to accessories and then you go to shoes, they have sales on pretty regularly as well. Yeah, this is my personal recommendation, but I understand $440 for a pair of shoes is pretty obscene, and that's discounted from $600. But I love the Shimano S-Fires. I've got 2 pairs, one of the older generation, which I had for a couple of years, and I've got this gen here. These are good, nimble, and Bont, super expensive. Don't really recommend unless that's specifically what you're going for. Yeah, there you go. That's a few suggestions. Outspoken, any plans to get your wife into full-on road cycling? When I finish the marathon, I'm planning to just see how she goes on a road bike, just because we are planning to do this trip to Korea next year. See if she likes it. It'd be a good activity to do together. So yeah, I'd like to see if she'd like to get into road cycling. What is your go-to training to improve your legs and your strength? Just riding heaps. I'm not a good example for this stuff. I don't do anything special. I just ride the bike as much as I have time to, and I love just pushing myself. So if I come up to a 10-minute climb, I'm just going to try and beat my previous best time. So I just go for it all the time. Kabugi, missed my notifications, only just joined. What did I miss, and will this be recorded? Yes, it will be recorded. Usually when a stream is finished, it takes a couple of hours for it to process and everything, but definitely by tomorrow the whole stream will be up. What have you missed? Unfortunately, quite a lot. We've done a lot of chatting tonight. Lots of funny questions. We had the Udi on. We took the Udi off. We unboxed the Insta360 Go Ultra on stream. What else have we done? People have donated money to buy me nuggets for next stream. So look, there's been plenty going on, and you can catch up on it in the recording. But welcome and thank you for joining. Eugene says, can you describe the group ride hand signals used in Sydney? Yeah, great question, Eugene. Every club is a little bit different, but there are some pretty universal ones. But I'd say the main ones are if pointing to potholes, and the most important one is for a lane change. And the reason why the lane change is the most important one is because that's typically where your group will have the most interaction with oncoming traffic, or traffic in general. So what the person at the very front of the group will do is, say you want to turn right, they'll raise their right hand and they'll say call, and everyone in the group, that is your call, to just be on notice that you're about to do a lane change. And then the person at the very back of the group, it's their job to make sure that they secure the lane for the entire group. So the front person say call, the very back person will say wait, and then once they've moved over, secured the lane, made sure that there's no cars between them and the front person, and it's completely safe for everyone to merge over, they'll say over. So that's the main hand signal. The other ones would be like stopping. Someone will just do like an open hand like that, just to say they're stopping, and pointing out potholes. So those are the main ones. If you come to Sydney, you'll pick up on it pretty quickly. And yeah, it's good that you ask, because I think some people are a bit scared to ask what the hand signals are and what the calls are. But it's good for everyone to know what they are, especially in a group riding setting. Missed the epic lederhosen reveal. Yeah, you did. I'm sorry. Thoughts on clip-on aero bars on a drop road bike? If you are training for a TT, if you're riding by yourself, I think aero bars on a road bike are fine. If you are riding in a peloton in a group, I would not recommend it. So yeah, that's just my personal thoughts on it. The good thing about clip-ons is you can just take them off whenever you want. Jake Ella, just a note, as a new cyclist, Vinted and other secondhand sites have basically new cycling shoes and jerseys very cheap. That's a great tip. I've never heard of Vinted before. Eugene has said, have you tried 3D printed saddles? I've tried it like when I've ridden other people's bikes, but I've never had one on my own bike before. 3D printed saddles, I'm gonna say more on the gimmicky side. Like your bibs have padding, and I think if you have a seat that's comfortable for you, that saddle should be pretty comfortable. Roberto, see ya. Thank you very much for joining the live stream, mate. The thing I don't like about 3D saddles is because say they're that thick and it's got like that 3D kind of like material and pattern, it allows a lot of deformation, which means that you can almost kind of like bounce up and down on the seat, and I don't think that kind of movement is necessarily a good thing. So yeah, I think just the normal saddles should be fine. All right, Trek Madone question from John Esper. Chinese brand wheel set you use, which one is your favorite? They all have their little differences. For example, Magine had carbon spokes. I use another brand called Nepest. That was pretty standard, just like carbon wheels, steel spokes. Yeah, I do like Ascent a lot. I think that their hub is the best. But yeah, that's probably the wheel I like the most. Also, obviously I'm biased because they're my current sponsor. I like them as well because they custom made some decals for me, which is pretty cool, of my dogs on the wheels. So yeah, that was cool. All right. Babibi. Thoughts on the new Apex Legends season? Apex Legends is a game I haven't played for a long time. I used to play it with my friends, uni and high school friends. Yeah, I think I haven't played that game for a couple of years. maybe 2 years, and I'm not really up to date on the current meta or anything, but yeah. How long until cycling and marathons for you transition to your first triathlon? I don't want to hear anything about triathlons in this, guys. Come on. I'm only average at 2 sports. I don't want to be bad at 3. Next live stream on indoor trainer. Just saying, maybe we can donate 1 minute of zone 5 intervals. I don't have an indoor trainer, so that's the first hurdle we need to overcome. Alright, good question. If you're new to cycling in Sydney, how do you find a club to ride with or meet people? Any tips of getting in the cycling community? How would you find the routes or the best cafes to park up at? Sydney is, I'm going to say it's quite unique, and something I really love about it in that the community is super welcoming, and there's no like clickiness between, I feel like there's not much clickiness between clubs. So say for example, you ride with my club, Pastries CC, like we've got nothing against you going and riding with your other local club, or riding with Rafa, or riding with Map, or riding with anyone. And I feel like all the other clubs in Sydney are kind of like have that same mentality. So for example, like during the week, I might go to 2 or 3 different group rides, and we're hosted by different clubs, and everyone's super welcoming. So what's the best way to find a club? I think if you're really stuck, just go on to Oz Cycling and find what your local club is. That will usually be just like that suburb area. So for example, like Manly, Warringah Cycling Club, Lidcombe Auburn Cycling Club, Lane Cove Cycling Club. That's usually like the established cycling club in the area. But if you're feeling like you want to do something a bit more social, definitely like go and look up some of the more like Rafa, or the club I ride with, Pastry CC, or there's other ones around. That's where you can get like more of like a social kind of ride, not so focused on like fitness, I'd say. And any tips of getting in the cycling community? How do you find the routes and the best cafes to park up at? I think just ask the people in the club. One of the good things I feel like that's great about community is like, you know, what you put in is what you get out as well. So if you are like an active member of the community and you want to help people, you kind of get like a bit of return as well. Like not like a tangible return, but you know, you get a sense of like of being like part of that community and helping other people. So yeah. Best way to find the routes and cafes, ride with the club. They will definitely introduce you to all the local routes, and I'm sure if they are cyclists, they must know where the good coffee and pastries are, so they can show you that as well. Which dog is my favorite? You can't ask that. That's like asking which one's my favorite child, you know. Now, I love them both. They're both are super unique in their personalities. Ollie's like, I don't know, he's like awkward and really chubby and just lazy half the time. And Wilbur's like the energetic, really like up for anything, always chasing us around. So yeah, love them in their own ways. Yes, people, I'm sure someone at Pastry CC would happily lend me their trainer. I don't know if I wanted to ride an indoor trainer again. And we have neglected all the questions from I've neglected so many of the questions from the Instagram. So should we quickly maybe spot out a couple of these which look good? And also you guys in the chat, just keep asking questions as well, and I'll try and get around to them. In fact, I think there's a tool here. Oh, I can ask questions. All right. So I can ask a poll. How's that work? Oh, thank you for the donation. Very generous of you. Appreciate it, mate. First super on a live stream. Thank you very much. Savory. Well, Savory 79%, 80%. Okay. Let's look at some of these questions. All right. Random adventure ride 100 kilometers on 16-inch wheels. I don't have 16-inch wheels, so unfortunately can't do that one. Kevin, do I miss you? Yes, I do. Get better soon, mate. I miss you, and I don't care if it's running or cycling. I just want to have you back. Favorite kit and brand? I think we answered this one. What's some of these ones here? Mountain bike video? No. I had a mountain bike once. It's insanely dangerous. I have had a pretty good track record of not injuring myself on the bike, and I like to keep it that way. Describe the feeling of putting a Donski in your mouth. After you've been riding for 100 kilometers and you've been eating gels all day, just having something nice, salty, and savory is really, really good. So that's how I would describe a Donski. Seinfeld or Friends, I haven't really watched either, so I can't say cumulatively how much have I spent on my current bike. My current bike is a bit of an interesting setup because I've been quite lucky in that, because I'm of the YouTube I've been, and also just got my involvement in the cycling community. Like I used to work at like just part-time at a bike shop. I got a lot of stuff on sale or like for like, you know, discounted prices. And actually my current bike, because the frame was a warranty replacement for my previous Madone, I got the frame for free, and then the group set was Ultegra 12 speed. So I think I've actually only spent about, I'm going to say only about like 3 or 4 grand. All right. Have I ever tried a Brompton? No, I have not, but they look pretty fun. And how do I manage to eat so much? I just love eating. I just stuff myself all the time with food. All right. Savory is at 69% with 26 votes. What's another poll we should do, guys? All right, let's answer some of the questions in the chat. Kabugi says, I have a Zwift indoor trainer and I'm struggling to be consistent with the cycling because I don't have a bike and use a smaller one that's far too small. Buy a bike for 2 grand or save more. You can actually buy like a Zwift bike now. Have you seen those? I don't know how much they cost, but essentially it's like a dummy bike that you just put on the trainer like this. And then it's got like all the controls you need for the trainer. So that could be maybe a compromise solution. But, you know, it's probably cheaper just to buy like a real dinked up secondhand bike that costs you like $400, and then you just put it on the trainer and that's it. Altier Solutions, how long have you been cycling for? I did a video on this. I've been riding for about 5 years. Started off commuting and then just kind of snowboard from there. Will Taylor says, keep streaming till 10. Okay, well 10 is 17 minutes, so we'll do till 10 o'clock, guys. We'll get all your last questions in. Oh, that's a good one, Chase Julian. Shimano versus SRAM. All right, well, Savory has won the pastries poll, but we will do. Let's get some proper rivalries. Shimano Bros versus SRAM. My money's on Shimano here. I feel like Shimano is just way more popular, and I think SRAM like had a period of time where they just had a little bit of a bad reputation for that front derailleur shifting. So my money's on Shimano here. Alright, Sagan and Cavendish crash at Tour. Who was at fault? That is before my time. I don't remember. I was not watching pro cycling when Sagan, like I pretty much started cycling when Sagan was like the tail end of his career, and then I got to see Cavendish do his like 34th win at Tour de France. But yeah, I'm not familiar with that crash or who was impacted. PH has said, Josh, how much thought do you put into refueling when biking? As a type 1 diabetic, I see a lot of cyclists relying on high quantities of high GI foods, sweets and Coke. Have you seen healthier options? Yep, look, if you are riding and you're not smashing, you know, threshold and above efforts, there's nothing wrong with just eating a banana, just some muesli bars, eating a bowl of oats before the ride. You don't necessarily need gels. I think the reason why gels and drink mix are really popular is just because they're an easy form factor. Like, you know, for a gel, you just rip off the top, you just slurp it down and you're done. And yeah, but you know, you don't necessarily have to have that. You know, I know plenty of people who just eat just like, yeah, bananas and muesli bars, and I used to just do like Nutri-Grain bars and stuff like that. So yeah, I think the most important thing is that you just keep fuel coming in. All right, last 2 questions from me. Next watch purchase, and will you get a Moon's watch to match your maker? I think, yeah, so the context there is I do a little bit of watch collecting, very small collection, and nothing super flash or fancy. Next watch purchase, I think I need to save money, so probably nothing. I'm pretty happy with what I have. It's kind of like a bike, right? You can buy like 2 or 3 bikes, but you can only ride one at a time. Same with watches. Just another thing to spend money on. So for now, I'm just gonna hold off. And I think Shimano is resoundingly winning this poll. So we've had 30 votes, and it's 83% Shimano. So I think we're gonna say Shimano has won that one. DanTube has asked, what are the negatives of being a YouTuber? I would say actually the main negatives is just the time investment can be a bit of a negative. Like sometimes I feel like there's a pressure, like I want to make content, or I feel like, you know, I need to have like a regular upload schedule. Yeah, and then, you know, you guys don't want to know how little I sleep sometimes. So yeah, maybe, you know, everything comes at the cost of something else. So, you know, if you want to do YouTube, either you need to find extra time, or, you know, you're missing out on sleep, or maybe social activities and stuff. So yeah, I'd say that would be the negative. But, you know, everything in life's like that. You know, say for example, you want to go ride your bike for 30 hours a week. Well, you're gonna have to make up the hours somewhere else. So yeah. David, hi Josh, big fan from Belgium. I've gotten into cycling because of you, and I'm struggling with knee pain. Have you had any injuries due to cycling? Did you solve them? Yep, early days on the bike, I used to have back pain, lower back pain, and it was actually because my saddle was a bit out of whack. I think, if I recall, it was too high, and the angle of the saddle was a bit off. It can be a bit of an iterative process of just fiddling with your bike fit. By the sounds of it though, if you have knee pain, I'd say the usual culprits for that is the cleat position. Sometimes the cleat is angled a little bit too out or in, and that forces your knee into like a irregular kind of position. And then the main after that, I'd probably say saddle height is a big one. So maybe just fiddle around with that, or pay for a bike fit. I can't recommend bike fits enough. I know it is a lot of money up front, but if you think about it, if you're riding week in, week out for multiple times a week for years, like, you'll get your money's worth from a bike fit. Bisky the Risky says, I started with BMX, then mountain bikes. Now it's more road and gravel for me. Oh, good one. MVDP versus Wout van Aert. I think I know what people are going to say here. I feel like Wout and MVDP were very evenly matched until about a year or two ago. And then I don't know, are we talking about cycling performance, or are we talking about who we think is more charismatic, or we like more as a character? Well, we'll just see general, how much you like them in general. Vuelta GC predictions. Exciting. I don't know if I should show my Vuelta fantasy team to you guys, but I think Vingegaard, he looked really good at Tour. Like think about it this way, him and Pogačar were like minutes ahead of everyone else. So regardless, like, Pogačar's not going to be there, so Vingegaard I think he's in a good form. He's not going to Worlds, so I think Vuelta is like his main focus for like the rest of the year. And then apart from that, UAE is like bringing like the Giga squad of Almeida and Ayuso and everyone else. So I think it's going to be Vingegaard, and then Ayuso or Almeida. I reckon Ayuso has got it. Over Ayuso second, Almeida third. That is my GC prediction for Vuelta. Darren, welcome to the stream. Thank you very much for joining, mate. An Komchua said, hey mate, what's your goal time for the Sydney Marathon next week? I would love to do a 3 hour 30 marathon. That's 5-minute pace. It is all dependent on how I feel in the last, I think, 10 kilometers, I reckon, and if I don't need to go to the toilet. Will you ever go cycling out in Europe? Yes, I would love to go cycling in Europe. I've said to everyone here that I'd love to go cycling overseas. It is more of just trying to find the time to do it. I keep booking myself in overseas trips and I never have the leave to do the cycling trips. But that's first world problem. Kabir said, what do you collect watch-wise? Very cool. I have 7 vintage Seikos and 1984 Neuchâtel from Switzerland. What is a 1980? Is that a watch? Neuchâtel. That's very nice. Look, I've got a couple of Seikos. I've got a Seiko tuner that my dad gave me, an incredibly robust watch. I feel like it's bomb proof, and whenever I go traveling, I'm gonna do anything where I'm gonna do some, down and dirty and do some physical work. That's the watch I wear. And I've also got an Omega Globemaster and a Tudor Black Bay, so that covers me off for the diver and the dress watch. So look, they're quite nice, but yeah, I think watch purchases are done for now. Will Taylor, finally got your bike fit. That is awesome. And how do you feel? You feel good on the bike? Sometimes you get a fit and it takes like a week or two to get used to it, or even like a month. But after you get through that period of that initial difference in the bike feel, you realize like it was worth it and you're much more comfortable. Maybe you can feel better putting out power. So yeah, I hope your bike fit went well. What changes did they make? Was it like a saddle thing or shifters or a bit of everything? Which shoes will I be rocking for the marathon? Asics Metaspeed Sky. That is probably the best race shoe I have. I wouldn't say it's ideal for a marathon, but I've got a few other shoes in my rotation which just don't feel as good for those longer distances, so I'm just hoping that that's like the shoe for me. Altier Solutions, check out the San Martin SN Chinese micro brand. Okay. Knee pain can be related to weak glutes. I've suffered from 2 years, but couldn't solve it. Yeah, glutes is definitely one of those silent killers. I do a lot of glute exercises now because glutes can be related to knee problems as well as lower back and back issues because all those muscles are interconnected. Thanks Albin for joining the stream, man. I appreciate it. Thanks for joining. And thanks for the super like. Will Taylor says, how are you finding the rain this week? It's been picture perfect in Melbourne. Don't get me started. It's not even been this week. This month in Sydney, from like mid-July to now, where we're in late August, we've had record rain, and I'm talking like non-stop rain for like a month. It's been horrible. MVDP takes out the poll as well by 6%, so it was super close for you guys. That is impressive. Alright, if you got any other poll ideas, let me know and I'll chuck it up on the screen. Well, look, I've got my fingers crossed that we can ride tomorrow morning. Simo says, yo Josh, hope to ride with you one day. What I'm struggling to find are good bibs for long distance riding. Bibs are one of the most important things. This is a little sneak peek, but I'm going to be planning to make a video soon about some of the best ways to be more comfortable on the bike, and bibs is one of the big things. for me, my suggestions are the Attacker All Day bib. Honestly, super impressed by these. The chamois just feels great. The gripper feels great. They're, you know, I'm not going to say they're budget, but they are cheaper compared to like a lot of the other, like, you know, race oriented stuff. So All Day. And these are like my go-to bib right now. So what do I use? I use like the black with the white. I've also got, what other color do I have? I like the pine here, but yeah, this is from Attacker. Look, a good pair of bibs, they'll last you a long time. You know, when I first started cycling, I bought like some real budget ones, and you can tell the difference in the chamois, how the material feels. And if you're going for a really long ride, I think it's worth investing in a good pair of bibs. Oh yeah, I've got the cargo ones as well, where these ones here with like the pockets on the side, these are really handy. For me, because I'm always carrying cameras, batteries, extra things on the bike, I love having extra pockets. So yeah, that's really good, and I'd recommend the Attacker All Day bib. Eugene says, would I insult my wrist with a Phoenix? A Phoenix? Garmin Phoenixes are expensive, man. A Garmin Phoenix is like almost $2,000 these days. The Phoenix 8 is like $1,800. That is not a cheap watch. When it comes to electronic watches though, I'm trying to minimize my usage of them, just because like I just get bombarded with so many metrics and I just want to look at it all the time, like the sleep data, the heart rate tracking, HVR, like all that stuff. So pretty much I put the watch on, I do my activity like my run, and I finish the run and I just take it off. That's what I do. Flat white versus cappuccino. Oh. We're going to get into people's coffee orders now. Alright. Oh, we can add another ones. Okay. How about no caffeine? All right. North or south rides? That is a good question. I am a bit biased towards north rides because I live up north. But I do feel like there's a better variety of riding up north. For example, you can do all your hill climbing at Three Gorges. If you want just rolling terrain, you can go to West Head. Yeah, I just love the rides up north. That being said, like when I do go down south, I enjoy it a lot. Like they're all beautiful rides as well, especially where is it, near like Seacliff Bridge and stuff. I was going to bring up my heat map. Where is it? Strava heat map. Personal heat map. Where is it? Create your heat map. And you guys can see that I've ridden majority. Let's change it to ride. Yeah, that's Sydney here. This is the city. And you can see I've done plenty of riding up north. And then it's quite interesting to see where I've done other rides. These are like down in Kangaroo Valley. I believe this is it's down to Warragamba Dam. Yeah, have you guys looked at your heat map on Strava? It's quite interesting. There we go, there's Olympic Park. You can see it's like there's Centennial Park right here. Why don't we change the can we change the base map to the dark one? That looks pretty cool. Gary, welcome to the stream. You've come just at the end. Maybe we'll answer a couple more questions and then we'll call it. But Gary has a cycling YouTube channel as well, and his goal is to video every single bike path in Sydney. And I think he's got like a huge repository of all the bike paths in Sydney. He's done some fantastic work mapping them out, connecting them all, and actually my idea to do the 200 kilometers ride around Sydney using bike path only was actually inspired by Gary. So Cycle Sydney, he's in the chat right now. Go and check out his channel. He's got some pretty cool stuff there. Definitely some hidden bike paths, and also whenever they do updates to bike paths and they build a new one or they fix it up and update it, he usually has a video of it as well. So if you want to scope out what different bike paths look like in Sydney, go check it out. How much cycling clothing do you own now? I actually don't own that much cycling clothing. Main reason for that is I actually sold a lot of my stuff. So when I came on board with Attacker, it's quite common whenever you come on board with these apparel brands, it's usually like an exclusivity deal. So I just end up just selling all my other stuff. So I actually have trimmed down my wardrobe quite a bit, which is refreshing. Like I have like a drawer with all my kit, and before I'd open the drawer and like I wouldn't be able to close it because there's so much stuff in there. But now it's like there's like a normal amount of stuff in there. Oh my gosh, Will. Gee, that is incredibly generous. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. That's really kind of you. Awesome to see that you're coming to Sydney in September, and you're bringing your Amanda. Look, we're gonna have to tee up a ride. Luckily, September we should have some better weather, and yeah, there's some really nice routes that you'd love to see. So yeah, definitely bring your bike and you'll have a lot of fun. Like, man, check out some of these rides up here, up in the national parks and stuff. It's beautiful. Hard riding though, very, very hilly, but yeah, you won't be disappointed. Okay, I'm a little bit behind on questions. I'm going to answer a couple more and then we're going to call it a night. So Outspoken said, love your work, thank you very much. Thank you, appreciate it, mate. Will Taylor said, how are you finding your Mac? Actually, my Mac is my work laptop, so I mostly use it for work, or predominantly use it for work. I was going to see if I could stream on it, but then I've got a pretty good desktop set up, so I've just set it up here because I've got my lights, my mic, and the camera and stuff. Quick fire, have I ridden to Perth, mate? No, I haven't. I love to come. I've got a few friends over there and I love to ride with them, and Perth riding looks really cool. The nationals there looked really awesome. And favorite beer, Mountain Culture. Is that too mainstream now? I really like Bent Spoke as well. Crankshaft, Bent Spoke Crankshaft. That's a good one from Canberra. Full Cults Ghost said, has your riding position become more aggressive in aero over time, or is it more about comfort and durability? I'd say definitely more aggressive in aero. For me, because I'm a lighter rider, I knew I couldn't match the raw watts of the bigger riders, so I spend a lot of time practicing aero position and just trying to be as comfortable in aero position as possible, and I think it's definitely a skill you can build up over time. Gary says he's got 15,000 photos of bike paths. There we go. What's the biggest missing link in bike path and city at the moment? For me personally, I think the biggest missing link is in North Sydney, between the Sydney Harbour Bridge and getting to Gore Hill Freeway. That takes you to Epping Road. Like, everywhere else is really good interconnected bike paths, and there's just this gap at North Sydney, and it's just because there's already a highway and a business district area there, and it's really hard to retrofit it into that area. That's my personal take. Suzuki, it is midnight here in New Zealand, mate. Thank you very much for joining the stream. I appreciate it, mate, and thanks for staying up late. All right, I think we are going to call it a night. I tried to get through as many of the questions as I could. I know I missed quite a few, but I'm sorry, guys. But I really appreciate everyone sending in their questions, asking them in the chat, and giving us something to chat about tonight. So that was a lot of fun. Thank you so much, guys, and I'll see you when I make my next video, which hopefully I should be filming tomorrow. So I hope to film a video tomorrow, get it out sometime during the week, and hopefully show you guys some cool Sydney riding content. All right, guys, thank you very much. Take care. See you later. Bye.